Hey, beautiful people. Thanks for sticking around to this last video. So I'm going to talk a little bit about metabolic detoxification. Again, trying to figure out what to talk about. I think this is, um, you know, important. So we're just going to keep going. All right. So, what exactly is a metabolic detoxification? And if I can get this to work, I would tell you. All right. So, I pointed out before there are three pillars to detoxification. The first is to limit and remove exposures. And then the second is to support your body's ability to detoxify. And then also a metabolic detoxification. Now, I'm actually combining these last two in this video. So I'm going to talk about what it means to support your body's ability to detoxify, and then also this, concept of metabolic or like clinical detoxification. So, what is a metabolic detoxification? So, basically, what I mean by detoxification is your body's ability to process toxins, intoxicants, and hormones into a less harmful state. So, the toxins that your body is exposed to, some of them are naturally occurring, some of them are synthetic, some of them are your own body, some of them are medications that you're taking, but your body has to process all of that, and you process a lot of that through your liver is an actual process that our bodies go through, and I'm going to somehow go through that a little bit with you. And then the goal here is to change things that are toxic into something that's not toxic and something that you can eliminate out of your body so it doesn't get stored, right? Because you don't want to store these toxins in your body. That's how you develop uh, problems. So let's talk about detoxification. Now, let me tell you why I'm even doing this. This is not to like give you a science lesson. I really designed this page to explain or to illustrate how important food is. Um, and actually, when I learned this, I thought this was life changing for me. So this is why I'm going through this. So please pay attention. This is super important. All right. So you have toxins that you're exposed to. We've talked about them: the phthalates, the BPA's, the heavy metals, the pesticides, the xenoestrogens. Okay, your body is processing all that stuff. So how does it do that? It goes to the liver, and the liver transforms these toxins into non-toxic components that you can eliminate. To do that, it requires nutrients. That is the what's it called? The boom boom boom, the punchline. That is the punchline. The reason that's the punchline is because um if you think about a standard American diet, let's just quickly run through it. Okay, in the morning, you have some Cheerios or some Fruit Loops, right? With some dairy milk, and then some juice. And then for lunch, you have, let's say, a hamburger and French fries. Maybe there's a tomato and some ketchup on there, and maybe if you're lucky, lettuce and like a sliver of maybe a pickle, with some Coca Cola. Let's make it really bad. Let's diet Coca-Cola. And then for dinner, you have, let's just make it easy, steak and potatoes and maybe some, um, if you're lucky, maybe some string beans. Okay. All right. So this is a standard American diet. And then in between there, you might have some, other snacks. Okay. And your snacks are probably not carrots and kale, right? So how in the world is your body able to process all of the toxins you were exposed to if it is not getting some basic nutrients? Now, the way that the picture is on the screen right now, if there are many different variations of this, I've made this variation myself. And usually, what it will say here is nutrients needed, and it will say B vitamins, vitamin A. It'll give you all of the nutrients. But I really just like tried to simplify it down to the foods, right? So, the foods that have the nutrients in them that you would need. So, for B vitamins, it may be some meats, curry, right? So, it's for turmeric or curcumin, is the chemical or the nutrient that you would need. Um, Glutathione and NAC, I put that on here, even though it is not a food. That is something that you likely would get exogenously, like as a supplement. But cruciferous vegetables like kale or broccoli or what am I, Brussels sprouts or something like that, apples, berries, green and black tea. So if you look at, if you're a person who drinks tea and you're like, oh, there's no nutritive value here, there's no calories. Yes, but it actually has uh, um, phytochemicals that are nutrients that your body uses to help detoxify chemicals. Milk thistle is another supplement, but you can actually take that if you, I think that's a green leaf. Okay, so you go through phase one. So once you go through phase one, what phase one does is it takes something that's toxic and it can either make it non-toxic or it can make it more toxic. And so you have to go through phase two to actually get it out of your body. So oftentimes you can get the nutrients you need in one phase, but you still need to have enough nutrients to handle the second phase. So you have to have enough nutrients to get you through both phases. So there's a lot of overlap in the nutrients you need for phase one and phase two. There are some things that are very specific to phase two, but you have to have enough to cover the whole entire process, and else you are stuck with toxins in your body. So phase two requires nutrients. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So there's meat and shellfish, nuts and seeds and grains. So this idea where we're demonizing grains, like even though I talk about limiting carbohydrates in my plan, it's not for life. You still need grains, the nutrients that come from nuts and seeds and grains to help you with detoxification. Garlic and eggs and cabbage and broccoli and kale, all those cruciferous vegetables, green or Rubio's tea, rosemary. So, um, herbs, okay, fermented soy. So, again, I just want to give you like the life changing information here. Food helps you get rid of toxins. So in this slide is talking about how you support your body's ability to detoxify. So for people who say your body does this naturally, it does when it has the nutrients to actually go through the process. If you do not have the nutrients to go through your process, guess what happens? You get sick. So here's the other boom boom that I talk a lot about. So you then have to get rid of these toxins out of your body. How does your body do that? The most effective ways to do that are going to be through your urine, which is why I encourage tons and tons of liquid, specifically water, and then through bile, which is through your gallbladder. So a lot of people who have their gallbladder removed, again, sometimes you need it to be removed, but sometimes it needs to be removed because the foods that you're eating are problematic. And if you change your diet, you could keep your gallbladder, and then your gallbladder could do the thing that it needs to do, which is get rid of toxins out of your body. Whole other story for a whole nother day. And then your stool. So making sure that you have a stool every single day. So I know people who are like, I don't have a poop every day. Well, then you're not excreting toxins to the extent that you need to. And as you have already seen, we are exposed to toxins 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are born with these toxins. We need to be on full toxin detoxification every single day, pooping every single day. All right, now I'm off my soapbox. We can move on. Okay, so how well do you detoxify? So the how well each individual detoxifies is different, right? So again, there's this common question I used to have when I was in medical school early on: why do some people get sick and why and others don't? Why do some people get cancer but others don't? Why do some people get autoimmune disease and sometimes don't? The I guess the easy answer to that, which is totally incomplete, is genetics, right? Oh, well, just some people are predisposed. And there is a component of genetics there, but that is not all. Some of it is that people have different toxic burdens, toxic loads. So if you were a person who was born during a time when when they were giving I think it was called DDS, which is a toxin that they were spraying everywhere, and they ended up uh, banning it because it was causing birth defects in babies. But it's a persistent pollutant, and it still exists today, even though it was banned over 50 years ago. So your toxic burden may be higher because you were exposed to that as a young kid. And so you have more to get rid of. Maybe you are a poor eliminator, right? You're a person who's not pooping and peeing. You're not drinking enough water. You're not eating the foods that help you eliminate the toxins. You've lost a gallbladder. You're just a poor eliminator. Maybe you have intestinal dysbiosis. Again, that's your gut, your microbiome, the bacteria in your intestines actually help to break down some of these toxins and help you get rid of them. But if you don't have a diverse microbiome, your body is not going to get rid of toxins as efficiently. If you aren't getting the nutrients, like I talked about in the previous slide, if you're not getting the nutrients to help your liver detoxify, you are not detoxifying efficiently. And then number 5 is something called polymorphisms. That is your genetics. So some people are predisposed to being poorer detoxifiers than others. We all have different genes that have different actions and different speeds of action. And actually, this is a big area under metabolic detoxification. When we talk about clinical detoxifications, we can actually test these genetics and figure out, are you a poor detoxifier or aren't you? And if you are, there are certain things that you can do to support your detoxification system, but you're going to be one of those people who's going to need extra support. It's just good to know that, right? So we talked about removing and limiting exposure. In my clinical practice, I actually do a questionnaire and identify if you are at high risk. But some of you already know, if you have plastic underneath your cabinets. All the things I talked about in the previous um, uh, uh, video. If you are the type of person who's not eating organic, you're storing your food in plastic, you're using microwaves, you're drinking out of plastic bottles, you're using cosmetics that have toxins in them, you're uh, uh, inhaling stale air, you don't have an air purifier, you live next to a big plant that is exuding chemicals from the sky and you can see or smell, then you probably have a high toxic load and you need to eliminate or remove some of these. And then sometimes you need to test. You could actually test. I'll actually have a slide on that under metabolic in a later slide, but you can actually test for heavy metals. You can test for a lot of these chemicals. And sometimes you need to do that. Again, I'm not an, I, I think testing is useful, but a lot of the things that we just talked about, you can do without testing, right? You can change from plastic bottles to glass bottles and not need to test. But sometimes you do need to test. So some people, we just don't know what's going on. You've got a medical issue. We've got to figure out what's triggering it. We can test. Other ways to support your body's detoxification system. I love a good sauna. I don't know about y'all. Let me start at the top. Hydration, drinking lots of fluids that helps to flush toxins out of your body. I don't put it on here, but fat loss. Right. So I talk about this when in the program where I talk about, we want to get your body to burn its own fat stores. And part of it is so that you can lose weight. But the other part of it, even if you don't want to lose weight, is to get rid of some of that excess fat so that it can dump out some of the toxins that it's been storing. Right. So that is just another point that's not on the slide. Stooling every day. I talked about sweating. I go to a sauna. I love a good sauna, infrared sauna. There's a lot of research out there. I can't, to be completely honest with you, I haven't read the primary data, but I've heard controversies on whether just having like one of those dry saunas that you like in this picture where it's over the coals versus an infrared sauna. So the idea is that infrared penetrates the cells deeper and you're able to actually detoxify better with an infrared sauna. I use an infrared sauna, but sweating is good one way or the other. Just a quick tip, just so that you know if you do go to a sauna, keep in mind as you're sweating, wipe that sweat off. You don't want to like sweat, 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 and then just reabsorb the toxins that you sweat. So that was just something I learned early on. So take a towel in there and just constantly just wipe that sweat off and then rehydrate as you need. Massage, the reason why massage helps with detoxification is because I didn't talk about this. I talk a lot about the livers and the kidneys, but your lymphatic system helps to move toxins toxins through your body. So massage, what that does is it helps with your move that lymphatic helps the lymphatic system move chemicals and toxins through your body so that you can pee it out and poop it out. And then again, these phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification pathways, again, with a clinical or metabolic detoxification, sometimes eating foods aren't enough. We need to, supplement some of those nutrients to get you where you need to be. So if you are doing a metabolic or a medical detoxification, oftentimes it will accompany with some supplements like the NAC, the NAC, or the glutathione that I talked about, those chemicals, sulfur compounds, sometimes charcoal to help bind toxins as you eliminate it out of your stool. So, having the appropriate nutrients to help your body, support your body's ability to detoxify. And then I guess I'm repeating myself here. So this is an example of a test where we're testing somebody for their toxic loads, and obviously for some of these toxins, um, uh, the upper limit of normal should be 0, but for some reason, the not the companies, but sort of the environmental groups within the United States of America will actually say, "Oh, you can have a little bit of lead in your body," but the reality is that any amount of lead in your body can cause problems. And if you don't know your body's ability to detoxify, you don't know how you're going, what your polymorphisms or your genetics are. You don't know how you're going to respond to any one um, um, chemical. So some of these toxins, when you test them, they should be 0. And so any elevation is problematic. Some of them, in fact, you can have probably small amounts and it's not harmful. It's harmful when it gets to high enough levels. But again, you could always test for this, but I always reserve testing for people who have tried, who have done all the things and are still having problems or are coming with really severe problems right off the bat. And I talked a little bit about supplemental support and binders. So that's what would happen in like a medical detoxification. So it is not a juice fast, right? So when I talk about detoxification, I'm talking about a medical detoxification, helping that your liver do what it needs to do. I think I answered this question for someone earlier in the program, but where people say, I just want to, I kind of want to detox. I just want to sort of reset. Is one of those juice fasts going to do that? Well, a juice fast or a water fast does have some benefits. Not so much a juice fast, but a water fast does have some benefits. The idea of doing a juice fast is that you're going to be getting a ton of nutrients, but you're also getting a ton of sugar and you're not getting a lot of fiber to help you poop, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't recommend those, these sort of fad diet detoxifications. But if you do need a full medical detoxification, I do think there is a place for that. All right, you guys. So that wraps this up. I'm going to post some other videos about GMOs and organics. I was going to put it here, but it's getting too long. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope this is helpful. Give me some feedback. I'd love to know what you think. And go off and live your best detox life. See you guys later.